everyone, and welcome to our special Halloween edition of North Central Comics Club. Today, we are talking 2 horror books. Brett recommended Maniac of New York, Volume 1 by Elliott, Kalan, and Andrea Mutti to me, and I recommended the recent Swamp Thing from DC Comics 1 through 16. By Ram V and Mike Perkins, and I believe there's a guest artist in there somewhere.
Yeah,
it's not really. It's not. But like, yeah, that's one issue, and then we also have a fair number of other books that came out through the month of October to get talking about, and I will also talk about my recent love affair, I guess, with Lucha Libre and AAA, Triple Mania 30, which was a show. But let's get let's start things off with our recommendations to each other. Do you want to start with Swamp Thing or Maniac in New York?
Let's go Swamp Thing.
All right, sounds great. So I chose Swamp Thing because, I think this is personally my favorite series that DC has been putting out for the last year, and it just or last year and a half, I guess. It was supposed to be 10 issues, and then they extended it to 16. Unfortunately, it didn't get the Marvel Transformers treatment of being a 5-issue miniseries and then going through it for 86 issues. But yeah, it wraps up with 16, and I think it's really interesting in the way it plays with Swamp Thing as an idea and a force, and other forces that he fights against. It's like an extension of Scott Snyder's idea of connecting him directly with plant life, and it's more connecting him with the idea of hope and compassion, forward momentum, and like other ideas like greed and industrialism.
I thought it was outstanding. This is my first Ram V comic book, and I liked it. I thought that, like you're pointing out, going the deep dive mentally of what it was like, what it is like to be Swamp Thing and what it means, I thought was really cool. This is my first read ever of any Swamp Thing. So I told you earlier, I went into it thinking it was going to be kind of a Toxic Avenger action type comic, and I was blown away. The first issue, I don't want to give too much away, but there is a beautiful illustration and a shock moment with a plane and things happening inside of it that it just kind of sets up, I feel like, the entire series as being a very serious story with real consequences, and I like that part a lot. That was probably one of my favorite parts in the 16 issues.
See, I'm a sucker, and I do like the big dumb action stuff. So I liked the Suicide Squad part where Kimo was chasing him down a hole, and I thought that was all real fun.
Well, I did like that they brought in some other characters and
all
stuff.
The big kaiju stuff. Also, like when Swamp Thing gets Green Lantern powers late in the series, that's pretty. There's a lot of really cool images, and Mike Perkins' style fits in really well as somebody who likes Swamp Thing a lot. It fits in with Bernie Wrightson or Rick Veitch, like the people who like the defining artists, I would say, of Swamp Thing. It feels like a really nice natural extension of them, and he does a lot of layout work that reminds me of Yannick Paquette, where his panels are shaped like cell walls or like leaves, and it's all very natural, and it feels unique and visually very expansive, the way it spreads out across the page.
Yeah, kind of muted, earthy colors that went perfectly with the feel of everything. So yeah, I really recommend this one.
Yeah, it's I think it's a phenomenal book. Just one of my favorites. They do set up a bit of a sequel at the end there. So I'm hoping that Ram V and Mike Perkins get to come back and do some more Swamp Thing. And with the new Swamp Thing, Levi Kamei, because we didn't even mention, this is a different Swamp Thing. It's not Alec Holland. He does appear, but okay. So let's jump over to Maniac of New York. I thought this thing was awesome. I love it. I think it rules. I think it's a really incisive satire on like just the way things just keep happening, and all anybody does is just go, well, what are you gonna do about it?
Well, yeah, because I mean, who has never thought about a serial killer that can't be killed or stopped?
I mean, well, I mean, like the direct analogy that he makes for the satire that he's using, and then how it became kind of about the COVID-19 pandemic, is that he thought of it as like the way our inability to deal with like gun violence or school shootings or really do anything, or just like how frozen and paralyzed America is about really attempting to put any legislative forth or really anything trying to mitigate gun violence, just going, it's just a thing of life. It's like, and that's what Harry is. He's just like, but don't worry about it, Harry. He's gonna, this Jason Voorhees looking guy, he might kill you. But just, leave a little early. Maybe don't, so you can avoid the traffic that's caused by his murder sprees.
Yeah. Well, and they do a good job too. I like the cop angle in it. I like the two police officers. It kind of is throwback kind of cocktail drunk and
one's like super cynical and fed up, and the other one is like a real go-getter, I guess.
Yeah. The artwork too in this is really, really cool. We talk about the colors on Swamp Thing.
Andrea Mutti knocks it out of the park.
I don't know how well this is going to show up
and
for
he
you
did
guys,
all of the I mean I'll put some up as we in the video, but like it just, the watercolors that Mutti did, and he did all of the colors himself, are phenomenal. They're really, he sticks to like one or two specific colors per panel with like hits of red, and then there's like some big splash pages that are fully colored, and it's just really cool stuff.
Yeah, it's in trade, so you can pick it all up, and you got your little covers and your illustrations.
And the second volume just started recently too, or did it just come to an end?
There's a trade second volume, and then there's going to be a third one.
Yeah,
we're rolling right along. This puppy is going right now. So yeah, I recommended it for Jeremy, so I recommend it for you guys too.
Yeah, it's great. So so do you want to move on to our pool box?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you want to start, or do you want me to kick off?
Why don't you kick off one, and then I'll get one.
Okay. Do you want to do? Did you read A Night at the Ghoul?
I didn't get a chance to.
Okay. Okay. So we'll talk about Night of the Ghoul first, by Scott Snyder and Francesco Francavilla. This was originally a Comixology Unlimited release, and Dark Horse is putting it out as in 3 issues, 3 oversized issues. This is the first issue. It deals with a guy who works at a film lab who finds a lost film called Night of the Ghoul, and then finds out where the director has been hidden through many name changes. He's in some nursing home, but there's more to this nursing home than meets the eye, and maybe the ghoul is real. Like it's really cool. I really like it. It has just like Francesco Francavilla is just one of the best working. Him and Snyder obviously worked together on the backups of Detective Comics all the way back in like 2010. And then Francesco Francavilla, he went on to do the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, or not Sabrina. He just did the Afterlife with Archie. That's the one, which I still think is coming out. Maybe who knows? I don't know what Robert Aguirre-Sacasa is doing, but I couldn't recommend this more. It's one of my favorite first issues that I've read in a while. Do you want to bounce first, or do you want me to just continue with my stack?
All right, so I got number 3, Predator. It's funny because the second one I talked about how it wasn't a lot of action and it was setting the pace. This made up for it. Lots of action, lots of good stuff going on. The story is fantastic, and I highly recommend you go out and read it. But I have been a sucker for these covers. Yeah. They have done such a good job with the Predator covers. I think this is a play off of Predator 2, the movie, the lightning strike scene, one of the famous Predator scenes of the movies. But the comic overall is really moving. The artwork is really cool, and
Kev Walker's doing that.
Yeah,
I've always been a big fan of Kev Walker.
Yeah, the story itself is really, really good. It does a good job of getting very small at times and focuses just on your character and her struggles on the planet. and then it pulls away and it tells this deeper story of the Predator's impact overall in the world that she lives in. And it really has done a good job staying balanced. And it is. It's a good action movie, or a good action comic.
Yeah.
So it's Predator. And I feel like Marvel has done this one took a while, and I started to get worried, but I feel like they've really done a good job staying true to Predator.
Yeah.
And like I said it the last episode, I think this franchise is in a really good spot.
Okay, so I have to take this one out of the bag and board because it's a flip book. So we got Shock Shop. Both stories are written by Kalan, and that is right. There are 2 stories. You read one this way, and then you flip it over, and you get another one. And they're both little horror tales. They're going to continue next issue. The artists are Danny Luckert. He is doing Something in the Woods in the Dark. And then you have Layla Lees, who is doing Familiars. It's more interesting in how it uses the form than I think the actual stories in them, which I think are fine. Like, they're perfectly fine little horror stories, but they're pretty forgettable. One's about like a guy who buys a house and then his kids think it's magic, but it's actually haunted. Ooh, and there's spooky stuff set up for the... And then the other one is people in the woods and there's something stalking them. It's not exactly like groundbreaking stuff, but again, I do think it does something with the form. You can't really do like the flip book thing in any other kind of medium. Mm-hmm. It's something unique to comics, which kind of gives it a bit of an edge. And as far as I do kind of like the fake little the fake Elvira that they got for to be the wraparound host, I guess.
All right, moving on.
Yep.
So I always talk about these, but I brought Gunslinger and King Spawn in. But what's cool about Gunslinger, Todd McFarlane came back and did the script on this one.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. I like this story. Javier's a great character, a great Spawn. But if you like Todd McFarlane, you should get into this one because he came back and did the script for that one. And then I know I keep talking about him, but I love the cover on this one. So I like the story on it already. Yeah. But the cover's been pretty cool, and I highly recommend this series. And it's moving right along too.
All right, so we'll quickly do Stuff of Nightmares by R.L. Stine. He's the writer, obviously, famous for the Goosebumps books. And A.L. Kaplan. I had no familiarity with Kaplan, and I do like his work. I thought it had really clean lines. Also, this cover by Francavilla is just stunning stuff. It's just really cool. It's another anthology. There's like a fake crypt keeper that they have that's like, ooh, this ghouls and ghosts. But like the story being told is like Frankenstein meets Night of the Living Dead, which sounds way better than it is, because it's really just kind of dull. I think I'm not gonna continue with this after this issue.
I actually forgot my other recommendation, but I'm pretty sure you guys probably know what it is. The Spawn Compendium, issues 1 through 50. I'm finally done with it. I knew a lot of the Spawn story going into it, but this refreshed a lot of it and fleshed out some of the things I was unsure of. The 4th one was announced. I think it comes out in December or maybe January next year. But I know I talk about it a lot, but if you guys are interested in getting it, pick those up because that'll take you to issue 200. Still got 130 some to go, but that'll get you a good background of it. And I think it's we talked about it with the Saga Compendium. They're really good deals. I mean, you can probably find a used one in a comic book shop for $30 if you want, if you're not into like collecting or getting a brand new one. But if you get a chance, go out and get them. Image is really crushing it with the compendiums right now.
I don't disagree. So I also have to take this one out. This is Spider-Man #1 by Dan Slott and Mark Bagley. I just want to take this out, Brett, because I need you to feel something. It does cost $5, but feel that cover. It's a Marvel comic, but it's like a real... Look at that. It's like, it's substantial.
Go figure for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But that is a beautiful cover. I actually picked this up,
It is really good. Have you read it yet?
I haven't read it, but I did pick it up because of the cover.
I will say this. It feels like Mark Bagley has drawn this specific page about 1,000 times. But like, I mean, it's cool. I like it. I do like, again, more books more Marvel. You print real books with substantial weight to them. I understand you still charge me $5 for it, which is too goddamn much for a single issue. But yeah, it's neat. It's more Dan Slott Spider-Man. It's continuing the Spider-Verse stuff, and Moreland's back. So God forbid the Spider-Man the Other will never die. That Peter David story will live on forever. But yeah, it's good. Slott and Bagley, you know them. They've done the most issues out of Spider-Man, more Spider-Man issues than anybody, literally. Like so.
It's a good time because the Undead Spider-Man just came out too. So.
Oh yeah. And I also think Amazing's really good right now with Zeb Wells and Ramita Jr. as the main artist. Like I think that's also pretty good. I like where Spider-Man's at. So do you have any more?
Well, I was going to point out that we talked about it last week, but Saga, the trade's officially out. So if you want to get, I'm a sucker for Saga, but if you want to get the most current trade, it's out now. I picked it up at Isle of Comics, where I pick up all my comic books. But yep, Saga, go get it. You know it.
Okay, so I will hop to another Andrea Mutti book. This just came out this month, A Legacy of Violence, also by Kalan. And again, Andrea Mutti, who did our recommendation, Maniac of New York. Everything we said about the art carries over for this. Ditto.
Great cover.
Also, yeah, Mutti really likes the Jason Voorhees mask, guys.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Although this kind of looks like, do you know the NES game Slaughterhouse? Or Splatterhouse?
Yeah, Splatterhouse.
Yeah. It's kind of like that.
That's funny.
But yeah, so the narrative, I feel like there's a doctor and there's something that happened in his past and it's connected to this guy on the cover, but we don't really know yet. So I don't feel like I have a good sense of where the narrative is going. I'd probably recommend waiting till trade on this one, but it does look incredible. Andrea Mutti's art is great. And it's certainly interesting. I just don't have a great sense, and I think it'll feel better when you read it as a whole collection.
Yeah.
So
I didn't get to this one, but I will say I picked up this based off the cover. I think this will be out. It might be a little late, but I'm going to read it for Halloween. So
yeah, read it on
got
Halloween.
that in. Yeah.
My traditional Halloween read, by the way. Do you have any traditional Halloween reads?
I think I have more of like a traditional like a video game, like a video game. I go back and play Bloodborne. I've done it since I've got it.
Let's make a decision. We'll do a little segment on what our Halloween rituals are.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
All right, so
that's adjusting on the fly.
Yeah. Going with the flow. Anyways, so I have Alien here. I only read the first issue. Brett, you've read the second as well.
Yeah. Yep.
So is this a continuation of like Dark Horse stuff, or is it a continuation of another Marvel series?
Yeah. So basically, what they did with the Alien, it's strange how they're doing this, but they've basically divided them into 6-part miniseries, and I have not figured out how they're going to connect all of them.
Okay, so they are doing like a Mike Mignola with Hellboy thing, where it's like one narrative, but everything's a miniseries.
Yeah. So like the first 6 issues kind of, well, I mean, they've been out. You should know what, if you're going to read them, you've probably read them, but they kind of end with a new alien being discovered, and then we haven't seen it yet. So then the next 6 issues are...
Yeah, that's the egg.
And then the next one kind of follows the typical alien path, where it's finding a new planet with aliens on it, and now we have this one, and I'm trying to figure out how it all connects.
Yeah, I felt like very lost, because I didn't read the first, and I was like, is this a continuation of Dark Horse continuity?
Well, I'm like, why is strange?
Okay, why are the androids from Dragon Ball Z here?
Yeah. Well, and see, so this is my issue with it right now, is I feel like they ran into this problem with Spider-Man, how when you keep restarting it, it's hard for new readers to figure out where you're starting, because the #1 issue has such a big backstory.
Yeah, but you're still referencing everything
exactly. From like... That's what's happening. And I actually like Philip Kennedy Johnson as the writer. I think he's doing a good job, but the stories feel very disconnected.
And also just to mention the art, it's Julius Ota.
Yeah.
I don't love. No. I think it's like mediocre Salvador Larroca art.
I'll have to bring it in. The best, in my opinion, the best Alien artwork they've ever had was done in the second run of Dark Horse comic books. The artist completely escapes my name, but when it's more realistic, it sells this series better. And this looks more cartoony.
I'm a sucker for the original Alien comics adaptation that Archie Goodwin and Walt Simonson did. I love Walt Simonson's take on Alien.
Okay.
On the Xenomorph.
Well, see, I'll have to bring those in because I have he actually did the script for Alien 3 and they re-released it in the comic book. So yeah. But yeah, the artwork is not as well as they're doing with Predator.
Yeah.
I'm upset with kind of where Alien's going. They're in their little 6 issues, they're good, but when there's nothing connected and there's no resolution sometimes at the end.
I will say this,
leaves you wanting.
Philip Kennedy Johnson is currently killing it on Action Comics, I think.
Awesome.
With he's doing a really cool War World Superman story, which is not unique. It's very much a like Roger Stern's the Exile story after John Byrne left the books in the 80s when he made Superman a murderer. Good stuff. So, last but not, well, I actually guess last and kind of least, because I really don't like this book, is Bloodstained Teeth by Christian Ward and Patrick Reynolds. Christian Ward is a really phenomenal artist. He worked with Matt Fraction on Odyssey. He just wrapped up an Aquaman thing that I haven't gotten. That he wrote and drew that one. I haven't had a chance to read that yet. And I really like his art. It's really trippy. It's very it's spacey. It has a very space-like quality to it, I guess, like dream-like quality to it as well. It's really interesting and it's beautiful painted images. He's writing this, and he is a far better artist than he is a writer. This has some messy dialogue. It is about a vampire who he was born a vampire, so he's a Strigoi or whatever the hell they call them. But he's been taking money from humans to turn them, which is not allowed in vampire society. So the Vampire Council comes in and is like, yo, you gotta kill all your children. You gotta get rid of them. All these dudes you turned, you gotta. So it's pretty much just every issue he goes after, or for the first 3 issues, there's 5 out now, so a trade's worth. But the setup is every issue he's going after a different person and I assume it's gonna expand at some point. It hasn't gotten to that point. I will say this, Patrick Reynolds' art is really interesting. It has a very 60s kind of mod pop art style to it that I think is interesting. It feels a lot like an Andy Warhol painting, just with vampires, which is interesting. Interesting is about all I can say about this book. I don't like it very much. I wouldn't recommend it, but I don't know. It's here.
I feel like it's made for some cool covers.
It has. It does have really cool covers.
Yeah.
These Patrick Reynolds covers on the first 2 issues are great. I have the variant for the 3rd one. I can't remember who did that. Yeah. All right. So, do you want to do the on the fly, or do you still? Oh, you have your trades.
Oh no, I mean they just Spawn. Well, just Spawn and Saga.
Oh yeah.
Go read them.
Yep, you should. So let's do our Halloween rituals then.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going through Bloodborne. I feel like that's the perfect game for this time of year. Yeah, that's what I'll be doing.
See, for every Halloween, I do 2 things. I always read Action Comics Volume 2, number 13, which is the Ghost in the Fortress of Solitude issue by Grant Morrison and Travel Foreman. It's also the one where New 52 Crypto escapes the Phantom Zone, and it's very cute.
I probably will end up too, now that I'm thinking about it, I might end up, I have the 2 Dark Horse Tales from the Crypt trades.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe I'll crack those open.
Yeah, I always like to, I always try and read some comics on Halloween. But then obviously it's mostly movies after that.
Well, yeah.
See, what are your traditional Halloween selection of films?
Oh, listen, I know what, there's one, and it's always the same one, Bad Taste.
Bad Taste, that's the one you go to. Okay.
I love Bad Taste, yes.
I love Bad Taste too. That's just like, I see, that's like one that I feel like not like a lot of Peter Jackson guys go towards either.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
It might be probably in my top 10 movies ever made. It's hysterical. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool.
If you can find a copy of it, especially one with the alien giving the middle finger, pick it up.
See, my go-to horror film is Event Horizon.
Oh,
Every Halloween I watch Event Horizon.
Yeah.
I love Event Horizon.
My wife and I usually will end up watching one of the Purges too.
Oh,
we like those movies, yeah.
See, I usually do Event Horizon and The Thing. Those are the two that I always make sure to get in.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then I'll try and throw in a Universal horror movie, but we'll see if that happens.
I do like watching sometimes the cartoon stuff. Family Guy has good Halloween-ish episodes. American Dad.
Yeah.
South Park with Corn is a classic.
Yep. All right, so I guess I'll just wrap it up here by talking about some lucha libre. As I wear my Blue Demon mask. Shout out to a lucha legend, Blue Demon. But yeah, so AAA just had their 89th anniversary show at the beginning of October, and I kind of started dipping my toes back in there. And they had. And watching that show, I was like, man, I really like just old men lucha libre. Like, specifically old dudes. I want to watch old men, like, go out there and, like, pump the crowd up. It's like, there's something so special about old lucha libre. Like it was, like, specifically watching Blue Panther do, like in a tag match with Dark Panther, his son, and they were versing Pantera del Ring and El Hijo Pantera del Ring, son of Pantera del Ring. So it was two teams of Panthers and two old men versus two young kids.
Now, where do you watch this on?
Well, CMLL uploads most of their stuff to YouTube. So that's awesome. So, like, CMLL you can watch. And then, like, for AAA, which also just had their 30th anniversary Triple Mania show, but this was the realest of the fake Triple Manias, as the Voices of Wrestling guys like to say. Or I guess as Cubs fan likes to say, Lucha Blog.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm getting into wrestling internet shit, and that nobody needs. But anyway, so I watched Triple Mania as well, and like obviously the two matches that you're gonna want to check out are Vikingo Rey Fenix, which is just like two dudes who do impossible high flying. But the match that I was into was Old Man Villano 4 in a mask versus mask match against Pentagon Jr.
A mask versus mask
Yeah,
match.
where like you wager your mask.
Oh, I gotcha.
So the loser, and like the way AAA sets this up, so they do this tournament where like the winners of the tournament leave the bracket. And you want to leave the bracket because the last two seeds, the people who are quote unquote the winners of the tournament, the losers, they have to have a mask versus mask match so you can lose your mask.
Oh, wow.
And like Pentagon Jr. and Villano 4 wound up losing this, and usually, by the way, AAA, the story for AAA makes no sense, so don't even try and make sense of it. But that's the general gist of what happened. and like Villano 4 is 57. He can't really move very well, but this match was structured in a way where like Pentagon Jr. just bumped like crazy for this guy. They were bleeding all over the place. And like obviously the emotion whenever somebody loses a mask and reveals their true identity is always big in lucha. And like they were doing it in a massive crowd with like 18,000 people. It was really fun. It was like one of my favorite matches of the year so far.
Cool.
So
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. Actually, I would definitely recommend. I can give you my fight password or show you a fight. So that's all we have for you today. Also, before we go, I guess you can email me with any recommendations at jeremys@NorthcentralPA.com, and Brett here is
Brett C at NorthcentralPA.com.
All right. See y'all later, and happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
At UPMC, we're pioneering new ways to treat cancer. And we're working to prevent it. We're advancing new technology to look more closely at disease and helping you breathe easier. We perform the world's first heart-liver transplant, and we're experts at keeping your heart beating strong. We're a global team of more than 90,000, advancing care everywhere and delivering it closer to you. UPMC, life-changing medicine.